Well, thanks for staying with us on the program this morning as we begin to deliberate on issues as captured on the front pages of the newspaper. Well, joining us in our studio is our guest analyst, Yusuf Muyideen. Good morning to you, Mr. Yusuf, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, viewers, and it's nice being here. And thank God it's Friday.
Well, thank God it's Friday indeed. Thank you so much also for finding the time to join us on the program. I believe while we're here enjoying the rains, the federal government is also issuing out flood alerts to, a number of states, about 30 states, including the federal capital territory. And we hear that in about 38 local government areas, there's a possibility of flooding.
Yeah.
And we have seen how very devastating such situations can be. What do you make of this development, and how do you think this can be, if not forestalled, better managed?
Over the time, every year in, year out, we know the weather pattern in Nigeria, and this weather pattern varies across the location, from the Sahel down to the mangrove swamp in the south. The major problem we're having is that when preparedness do not meet with opportunity, you will not maximize the potential of a nation. You see, flood is a natural phenomenon. If you go back down the memory lane in history, the river Nile is no Egypt, no Nile, they say, and it's as a result of flood. So flood are good, have their advantage and disadvantages. And with the concept of global warming and change in climate pattern over the years, we have organizations like the NIMET, the Nigerian Geographical Agency. There are so many geographical agencies.
NISA and NIMET.
Many of them who are saddled with responsibility of making predictions and taking time out to study the pattern over the years. But when you have a knowledge and you acquire a scientific know-how, if you not put to practical use, it's as good as you don't have the knowledge. And if you are even worse off, because to know is to be able to be proactive in a sense. So flood, if you look at the topography of Nigeria, some places are mapped out naturally to be prone to flood. As the rain increase, as the level or the quantum of rain we get increases, this area must experience flood. But we have so many agencies, that even so many funds, like the ecological fund, which has been provided to make sure that the government is able to mitigate, prepare, not until when the situation comes like this. So what I'm saying is that the agency saddled with responsibility of making sure that this flood not take us unaware, we are not up to their game. Let me give you an instance. In Minna, in Niger State, in the 80s, there is a recurrence flood. And because the flood will enter household and take properties away, then the Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida-led government has to come to the rescue of Niger State. And if you go to Niger State today, there is a flood drainage pattern built to accommodate the large volume of water that passes through it. And because Minna itself is on the floodplain. So when a place is on a floodplain, by the time there is river and there is rain upland, the wetland down the river, it flows down. You can't stop it.
Yeah.
The water have its natural pathway. So what I'm just saying is that as we plan our cities, as we plan our town, farmlands and the likes, then we must mitigate. We have the age we are in is a civilized age, and I don't want to believe that Nigeria does not have the know-how. Let me give you an instance. All the universities in Nigeria have the geography department, they have the geology department. So many technology universities were set up basically to provide for the need. Like all the Federal University of Technology in Nigeria have geography, a meteorological department and remote sensing department, who are meant to cater to study into this phenomenon, and so that we'll be able to prepare. So what I'm saying about Minna now, Julius Berger have to do a drainage pattern, and I think they copied somewhere in Mississippi in the United States and brought it to Minna. And before you know, more than 400 kilometers of drainage pattern across Minna. And these are natural pathway of water. So as the water is coming, no matter the volume, the plan was to accommodate those water, so that this water will not go into people's homes. We have a Ministry of Environment, we have a Ministry of Agriculture, we have a government who's supposed to be able to do the needful, were government agencies. Now, if you see the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, for instance, Wiki, he has been on the game. He's not waiting for anybody to tell him
in
what
terms of managing flood.
No, in terms of managing federal. I want to just.
But let's stay on the issue.
I just want to just
hold your thoughts. Also joining us to be able to authenticate, particularly the provisions of funds to mitigate flood, is the business editor of the New National Star, Mr. Sam Otuoye, who joins us over the phone this morning. Hello, Mr. Sam. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. It's my pleasure.
Hello, Mr. Sam. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you join us on the program. Just before you joined in, Mr. Yusuf, who is our guest analyst in the studio, in his background to this conversation, had talked about the provisions of ecological funds to mitigate against flood. Year after year, we keep on seeing red alerts. The most recent one is one that converges 31 states, including the FCT, in needs to respond to the imminent flooding that is being experienced across major states in Nigeria this year. What do you make in terms of the conversations around accountability and transparency in the disbursements of ecological funds?
Yeah, thanks for having me. You see, this ecological problem has bedeviled the country for a long time, and the embezzlement of the funds being provided to arrest the situation has been on the front burner for a long time also.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Well, it may seem that we'll have that connection restored in just a moment with Mr. Sam. Now, coming back to you here in the studio, you were giving us an example of what had happened in Niger State under the administration of General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida in the 80s. Yeah. Now, sometimes when flooding happens in certain cities or certain places, it's not entirely natural. We have seen situations in Borno State where a dam that was supposed to have undergone some sort of renovation or maintenance, collapsed, and it flooded the entire city with casualties, hundreds of millions of naira damages, affected people. And then in Adamawa State, just last month, we saw yet another flooding, which allegedly was attributed to illegal mining
site.
An illegal mining site somewhere in the state, and it also flooded, the state capital. Yeah. What we are anticipating now, this warning issued by the federal government, is nothing similar to these two incidences in Borno and in Adamawa State. Yeah. This is a natural occurrence as a result of heavy rainfall. My question is, what are emergency agencies doing, and what is the federal government also doing beyond issuing these warnings to ensure that people living in these flood-prone areas are maybe evacuated to safer grounds before this tragedy hits?
You see, in this modern era, technology is fast advancing, and knowledge-based living is the answer to all this. You see, when we alter the natural ecosystem, there are pathways that are meant for water, and human beings, we are the last inhabitants of this planet. Every other person have a place. So we are the one that want to live everywhere. As you want to live everywhere, that is the Convention of the United Nations and all other international convention on climate. It is agreed that there are terms and reference as to how you have the adaptability concept of these conventions. Adaptation to environment, both for the humans and the natural ecosystem. As you plan your cities, you must give a chance to the natural ecosystem to live side by side. The moment you alter the natural ecosystem, you will be asking for this type of air. So what I'm trying to say is that when the Mina issue comes up, that is the natural, Mina is a floodplain, and there is a natural pathway for the water. The human being want to adapt. Then to adapt, they have to build the drainage. Bigger than the size of the.
But we keep seeing this happening almost every single year.
That's why I said organizations that prevention, they say, is better than cure.
Yes.
There are organizations. Nigeria is one of the best places you see. For every of our problem, we have an agency or organization that saddles with the responsibility of making sure that this particular problem does not visit us when it occurs. Let me give you the issue. Now, there are some dams that have not been opened, like the Cameroonian dam. And when that one opened, it will flood into the River Niger. And when it floods, area that have tributaries and villages that have the tributaries along that river, up from the Cameroonian end to Lokoja, will be affected. What I'm saying, year in, year out, you know that it's a guest that's coming to your house. You must prepare for that guest as they come.
Mr. Sam is
you should be able to visit. You should be able to take care of your guests. And this flood is a guest that will continue to come year in, year out. But if the agencies saddle with this responsibility, we have the marine.
Just hold on, please. Let Mr. Sam join the conversation. Yeah. Hello, Mr. Sam. Welcome back to the conversation. We're hoping that we'll have a smoother conversation this time. Hello, Mr. Sam.
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you so much. I can hear you.
Welcome back. We're talking about accountability in terms of funds made available to mitigate flood. And quite interestingly, on the front page of your newspaper this morning, you revisited a story that was made prominent in February, where the president approved 80 billion naira for rehabilitations to the Alao Dam, which was blamed for some of the flooding we had in 2024. Can you give us more insights into this story and other reports as it concerns accountability in the disbursements of funds made available for flood mitigation?
Thank you so much. That led our story, our paper this morning. I want to say this, that many years ago, this ecological fund was made available to one of the states in the southeast. At the time, the governor of that state was on vacation, and he handed over to his cousin, who, when he was on that schedule within that temporary period, this ecological fund money came in, and the man took the money, and that money caused trouble between him and his cousin governor, because when the man returned, and this man had made away with the money, and in fact, the man that made away with the money told his brother governor that he's not going to bring it out. That is how bad this embezzlement, this accountability we are talking about is. This thing I'm telling you now, almost everybody in the southeast is aware of it. So now to the federal level. You see, flooding has been a yearly affair, and money have been voted for it to be checked. But at the end of the day, year in, year out, we still talk about it, because what happens across board in terms of corruption, embezzlement of public funds, embezzlement of project funds is what is happening to it. So it's not a function of ecological fund alone. All other funds are going that way.
Now, Mr. Sam, before we move on to the next topic, it's a conversation on this story you're leading with. Since it was voted in February, do you have insights as to if the rehabilitation work has started on the Alao Dam?
Honestly, I cannot speak to that, whether work has started. I cannot, because I'm not sure. I'm not sure, really. But the only thing is that we are not expecting anything different from what has become the norm in this country. Unless something happens, everything will be going that way. That's the point there.
All right, thank you. Because of time, let's move on to another issue in the news this morning, and it's conversations around the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry. This morning, quite a sum was published on one of the newspapers, 496 billion naira sent to 5 million households under social intervention programs. It's also transparency related as well. I don't know if you've been following that and you care to make any comments in regards to the federal government's intervention in that regard.
Yeah, thank you so much. Humanitarian affairs. In fact, the story, our second lead this morning was on humanitarian affairs and the scourge of hunger, that is ravaging, particularly the north region. But as the disbursement of funds to the household is something that should be investigated. I think the media should investigate and get to know who got what and whether the right people, that the money is meant for, got it. I think that's subject for investigation.
Now, now,
Because
now, Mr. Sam, yesterday in the papers, we saw a report that the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, under the Renewed Hope Initiative, had in the last 2 years disbursed about 12.9 billion naira in humanitarian aid to vulnerable Nigerians across the country. And here we are seeing a report of the federal government's disbursement of 493 billion naira to 5 million households. At least with the First Lady's case, we have seen her going around the country. We have seen her sending representatives all around the country. However, this disbursement of almost 500 million naira by the FG is not something that you can pinpoint and say, oh, we have seen this household or we have seen this community really attesting to the fact that they have gotten this money disbursed by the FG. What do you make of this?
Yeah, thank you so much. You see, that's what I said earlier. That is subject to investigation, and that is where the media comes in as it were. So we need to investigate to know who got the money. So banding big amount and all of those, that is not the issue. The issue is getting down to the root. Those that got the money and whether they are qualified and verified for it.
But personally, do you know anybody who has received part of the money?
I don't.
I don't either.
Mr. Yusuf, do you?
So we'll find out. In the coming days, we'll find out.
Oh, okay. We'll come back to you in a moment, Mr. Sam.
All right, thanks, Sam.
Mr. Yusuf, do you know anyone who has benefited?
That is when we want to approach any issue as such, there are templates they use in disbursing of this money. Like now, when you have 500 billion to divide across Nigeria, you say how many million household? 5 million.
5 million.
Now, if you look at the Nigerian landscape, the smallest unit you can get, maybe close to the smallest unit, is the ward. Now, if you divide that particular amount by 11,000, how many will go to a ward? That's how micro the units will go. So looking for people around, but the only thing that we are in digital age, is this money wired to them digitally, or like the former minister
when you say the words,
well, that's the
political words.
That's how when you want to share, you share according to space.
According to the words. Now, do these Nigerians have to be part of a registered political party to be able to?
What I'm saying, that's why I said if it is sent digitally, it's something that through the central bank or through any of the Nigerian banks, we can get. So like you in the press want to do investigation, that's the front. That's the money. We have a transparency unit in the government. We have the ICPC and the likes, and the right to information. So we can, if you want to get down to the root of how this money was disbursed, if it's handheld, like what happened when Sadia was there, everybody cried foul because the former minister who said they carried the money in Ghana must go and displace it on the table. The money that's not up to maybe 200 million. And the next day you hear that 1 billion was disbursed in social local government. Why the amount of money you saw, and in 3-5 minutes they already left the site. So what I'm just saying is that this is the way to go digitally, looking into the future, so that all this type of controversy, both from the ministry and the Nigerian general populace that they need to serve, is to look at, okay, in this unit, how many people got it? So that's why I said 11,000 divided by 500 million, and how much is given to. So by that time, you know how to get those people who get that money is across the space in Nigeria. So, and the problem is that with the Ministry of Humanitarian, they have to come on board with a lot of transparency in the process, because even when you want to disburse this type of money, you are supposed to have the press. I was trying to bring up some analogy with the Federal Capital Minister. Every now and then, as he's doing his project, he will call the press. we interface with them and they question and critique.
Some people might argue that bringing the press to such functions of disbursement of funds might just be showmanship and not really for the benefit.
Now it's generating
for the benefit of Nigerians.
Information, they say, is power. If you are not informed, you are deformed. And one of the medium with which you disseminate information is through the media. So if you do not involve them, where are we discussing their issue now?
Press,
it's on the press.
Or no press.
Yeah.
If these disbursements are made public and 493 billion naira, in as much as you might want to say if shared amongst 5 million households, 11,000 units of words and whatnot is actually small. It's not small.
I'm not saying it's small.
11,000 units across the country would raise enough noise for people to even hear it if they are passing by.
Okay, let me.
You don't know anyone who has received the funds. Mr. Sam doesn't know anyone who has received the funds. I don't know anyone.
Nel Fund was when the Nel Fund came out, people were asking questions. The entire Southeast raised an eyebrow as to they were not included because, and when they asked the Nel Fund, they said, when you do not apply, how do you want us to give you?
But Nel Fund has a dashboard. You go on their website, you see the number of schools.
Now it's high time. It's high time. The Ministry of, these people are not serving themselves; they are serving us. So such a dashboard. That's why I'm saying that now we are doing a comparative within an agency of government and a ministry. Now we can now ask for the ministry to give us the dashboard of how this money is being, so that everybody will be
very quickly, because we have little less than 10 minutes to wrap up. I'll come back to you, Mr. Sam, and moving away from these issues bordering on transparency when it comes to the disbursement of funds, particularly with the National Social Investment Program Agency, as lifted by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, would continue to look out for an accurate National Social Register to back these claims. But in the meantime, let's come to education. Much like we saw when JAM results were released, WASSCE results were released, and the percentage of failure was quite alarming. Over 63% of students failed to have credit passes in English and maths. Now, we look at a situation where the examination body is asking that students recheck their results over time. This is now being termed a technical glitch. What do you make of this introduction of CBTs and the glitches being experienced by students?
Yeah, thank you so much. You see, even the students themselves are calling education scam. That is a very worrisome situation, because when you don't value what you're doing will not give you a positive outcome. And it is a function of the system. It's a systemic failure. That's what those children, those students are making reference to, why they call our education a scam. The other day we talked about, is the president that has asked governors to go and look into, the schools in their states and communities and all of those. So it starts from there. When things are not properly done, the students are not properly taught and all of those, there is bound to be failure in exam. So it is not unexpected. But then this issue of glitch has become another cankerworm that's eating up this country. If you look at the glitch, this word glitch started in 2023 election, presidential election particularly. And since then, we've been hearing of glitches. The glitch happened in JAM, happened in WAEC. The glitch happened also on Wednesday with the customs. A very important sector where goods are being imported and exported and all that. And they're having it. And what is something about it? They always know the inadequacies of the system set up for that purpose. Because at least for the purpose, they said in May, they noticed the difficulties. They noticed difficulties in May. And this is, of course, they were not able to take care of it. That happens in education. So the glitch we're having and the failure we are seeing, I don't think they are totally out of place. That is what the system is giving. And again, you see that failure. I've read it and I've seen for what the WAEC is talking about. They're talking about credit in maths and English. And you know, we've been canvassing for this mathematics compulsory subject trend for everybody. See, when we wrote WAEC, mathematics was not compulsory for courses in the university. It's not for all the courses in the university. Right? I studied mass communication. Mathematics was not a compulsory. It was not a requirement.
Because it's more or less irrelevant to the actual course itself in the university.
Yes. Because those in arts find it difficult to pass mathematics.
That is correct.
So we've been talking about it, that they should change this system, that you must pass mathematics no matter the course of study in the university. So that is causing problem for students. Let's do the right thing. So the way they are taking that percentage, particularly from math and English. Meanwhile, they passed other subjects well. If you've gone through that, their report. So I think it's a function of, putting the data correctly.
All right, Mr. Sam, in a moment we will come back to you here in the studio, sir. What do you have to say about this systemic failure? I'm being careful with my words now. Systemic failure on the part of WAEC itself.
You see, sometimes when you do not do the needful, like what we have with the INEC during the last general election and the nomenclature glitches come up, you must prepare for every possibility when you are using technology.
Yeah.
The technology might shut down. It might give you a problem, but there should be a backup plan as to what to fall. In fact, who said you cannot have 2 layers of information dissemination, or when this one fail, as we are working now in this studio, you have more than 2 or 3 cameras that are on. If one is not working, the other one will take off. So, and enormous money is being allotted to WAEC year in, year out to make sure that this platform is okay, even the INEC issue. So what I'm just saying, what I'm trying to hit at is that when you don't prepare, when you do not prepare adequately for what you are going to go about, this type of issue will continue to bedevil us on year in, year out. So if you are not ready for a particular process or a particular technology, you don't need to bring it.
The technology in this case is CBT.
Yeah.
Do you think that we are ready for computer-based tests in Nigeria?
If you look at Japan and China, for how long have they been using it? So if we want to compete in global village, all that we need to compete favorably with the rest of the world, we must make it available. Even the WAEC and NECO of this world, and they are coming late into this foray, because today, without it, anywhere you go, you are before now you have paper, but now you have devices in your hand. So everybody must be technology driven, and as such, our education system must prepare the future generation for the so it's the WAEC that have to up their game and make sure that whatever is given to them is maximized, so that we stop having this type of problem.
Before we wrap it up on this conversation, I think we might want to take a look at the Punch newspaper once again to look at 7 key issues that have been highlighted as the cause of this debacle in the 2025 WASSCE. Now, the total number of candidates that participated in the examination is 1,969,313. Success rate pegged at 38.20%. Now, 7 key issues here: serialization of objective test papers. 2, frequent power outages. 3, delays in exam start times. 4, students arriving as early as 6 a.m. 5, inadequate exam oversight. 6, poor exam conditions, example, flooded venues. And 7, student over-reliance on digital tools. These are very worrisome issues that have been raised, some very questionable indeed. Mr. Sam, what are your thoughts before we let you go?
Yeah, thank you so much. My thought, all the points they highlighted are correct. Yes, but all these things can be tackled and handled appropriately if the leadership is serious there's nothing insurmountable about them. I think that's my take on it.
Well, Mr. Sam, we must thank you for your time on the program this morning. We do appreciate you for lending in your thoughts.
Thank you so much. I know the work to do.
Well, we must extend that same thanks to you, Mr. Yusuf Muyideen, for taking our time to attend to this conversation.
Good morning and thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.